Yeah,
Oh, sorry. Shit, you're a United fan. Oh my God. Okay. I said a lot. Yeah.
What is up, guys? The Front Three podcast is back. This time we do have another guest, Adidev, sir. How are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm good. How are you guys? It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Like a short intro of like who you are, which club you support.
So a short intro is basically I've been working at least in the sports industry for at least around 5 years now. This is my second year in which I've not been working in the sports industry. Primarily a communications graduate, um, a huge content writing fan. Been an Indian football fan for a long time, but before being an Indian football fan, I started off by being a Chelsea fan. So that is my history as a football fan, so to speak. Started watching football because of Zidane. I think my first match was the 1998 World Cup final, and that just narrated the whole story for me in terms of football fandom. I think I should have gone towards Arsenal, but thank God I didn't. So thank God I didn't at that point of time, because Arsenal were kind of called the second French team. So yeah, and I'm a Messi fanboy. I'm a huge Messi fanboy. So anybody in the Ronaldo versus Messi debate, please feel free to drop down the comments right now. I don't want to get into that battle anyways. Both of them are great in their respective journeys. But I just feel that Lionel Messi, huge fanboy, because of the fact that I started following Barcelona in that particular time as well. And it's just because of Messi, I used to watch a lot of Barcelona matches at that time. I can't watch PSG matches right now because they're just I can't bear to actually take myself through the torture of watching PSG games. So so that is something that is there from my side. So yeah.
So, talking about PSG, a club which has a ton of money, we're moving on to another club who's recently become extremely successful after a Saudi-led takeover. Newcastle United, one of the old Premier League teams, that
Yeah.
had some history, I would say, to a certain extent. So it brought down the end of Mike Ashley's 14-year ownership at the club.
Yeah.
So, as a neutral fan, I would say, because Newcastle United isn't a team that either three of us support. Where do you see them going forward? Because obviously they have the money, but at the same time, something that I was thinking about was a club like Newcastle United. Obviously, players will have that incentive about money, but why would they want to play for a club like Newcastle United over maybe Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester City, or Manchester United? So what edges the club out?
So what edges the club forward is I think it's not just specific to that club itself. What I feel is when it comes to owners right now, uh, I feel it's a good move to actually move away from the big clubs when you want to invest huge money. Because let's just take Manchester City as a case study, right? So when the whole investment came for Manchester City from the oil-rich consortium at that particular point of time, I don't think so anybody favored Manchester City to even be in the top six for that example, because I think the squad that they had, I think the one of the best players that they had in that particular squad was Micah Richards and Joe Hart, two of the best players at that particular point of time for Manchester City. So I think when you're talking about that particular model actually evolved from that thought process itself. Because we can't actually talk about that thought process in respect to PSG, because PSG have a fabulous history in terms of French domination. So we can't really talk about them in that particular perspective. But when you talk about Manchester City, that is the case study that I want to put forward. But even if you talk about Newcastle, because that's another club that I think when I started following Chelsea, I really respected Newcastle. I really respect Newcastle because of the squad that they had, because of the players that they had, because of the consistency that they had in actually being amidst the elite in Europe at that particular point of time. So that is something that I really respected about them. And I think those are certain things that actually attract an investor as well. So if you're looking at a business in itself, you would look at actually solidifying a business which has certain glimpses of potential in it, right, rather than actually investing in something which is almost a finished product.
Yeah.
All right. So that's exactly why when we're talking about Newcastle is that club. Newcastle is that club because Newcastle has an absolutely rocking fan base. Newcastle has a certain amount of footballing history to it as well. And yes, Newcastle, and right now, to be very honest, if I look at the squad, yes, there will be a lot of players actually leaving Newcastle as well with this new investment, but they will retain a lot of players as well because Saint Maxima, Almiron, Longstaff, I think these players are pretty good to still remain with this particular squad. So even if I'm seeing where they will go from here, because I think when I was reading up on Staveley's interview, uh, even she herself said that it's going to be they want to make this club into an investment where you actually sustain this club for the next 100 years, which is quite good because that's the vision that you want to look forward to. You don't want this club to actually just put all of your money in the next 2 to 3 seasons and then see where it goes from there, because then it's not sustainable at all. So all of these means, let's just keep it to a very mimetic kind of a sphere. Let's just actually keep it to a very mimetic kind of a sphere where you'll buy all Kylian Mbappe's, you'll buy your Erling Haaland's, you'll buy all of them together. It's a very mimetic sphere. It's not very realistic. It's not extremely realistic, to be honest. They will probably go for an Anthony Martial, yes.
Yeah.
They may probably go for an Eden Hazard as well, yes. But I don't see them going for an Erling Haaland, and Erling Haaland, considering how ambitious Erling Haaland is, he'll not come down to Newcastle. I don't think so that's going to happen. So yeah, those are all fun and games. But when it comes to all seriousness, I don't think so. Even the club would want to approach these players because they are very realistic about how they want to approach the next transfer market, the January transfer market. They're going to get around 190 million or something in that transfer market to spend, which is a huge amount, but they'll probably spend it in some players who they see are modest investments. In their head, they are modest investments, but probably for at least the next 2 to 3 years, they will have a sustainable wage bill as well internally, so that they have their economy can be a little bit more sustainable in that sense. So that's how I see Newcastle moving forward. I think it's morally speaking, it's not a great thing to do because everybody knows about about where the whole Khashoggi dynasty lies. So I don't think so. I want to talk about that, but because that's a completely different topic in itself. But when we just talk about the deal, when we talk about the logistics of the deal, when we talk about the footballing aspects of this deal, I think that this deal makes complete sense. Steve Bruce had lost the fan base completely. There was certain connection that you had to make with your fan base as well. And I think he kind of lost it along the way. Sports Direct, his company, he kind of made it so visible that you have to make your club, you have to actually sell your product with the club. So he made it so visible that he has to sell Sports Direct with the stadium, with the stadium sponsors, with everything that's happening around the club. That the club became secondary to his own product, which is Sports Direct, and that's something that fans never liked. So I think those are some reasons that I think Steve Bruce was not Steve Bruce exactly, but Mike Ashley was kind of disliked. Steve Bruce is also disliked, by the way, but Mike Ashley was kind of disliked. And I think these are things which I think can change, because from whatever I'm reading about Staveley, whatever I'm reading about the new dynasty that is taken Newcastle's reins, these are things that may change because the fans also have renewed hope about the club. The fans knew that probably these are the last days of Steve Bruce as well, because I don't think that they're going to continue with Steve Bruce with this kind of investment. No point doing that. So these are things that will change, and that's why I really think that in the short term we may see Newcastle climbing up the ladder, but the first thing is just to build a certain relationship with the fans. And I think one box in that particular aspect has been ticked already.
Yeah. And let's talk again about, I think, the type of players they need to target. Of course, in the first 4 or 5 years, they're not gonna go for those record signings like Haaland and Mbappe. Maybe later, once they at least get into Europe first. But right now, like what type of players do you think they should go for? Like, is it the hidden gems? Is it, the players that are sitting on benches of other teams?
So right now the names that I'm reading up on, and also I feel they're realistic as well. As I said, Anthony Marshall, and the second name is probably Max Aarons. All right. So again, Max Aaron's been there on the radar for some time, but nobody actually really picked him up because of uh, an inflatable demand for his transfer fee, but he still remains a quality player. So I feel they will adopt that first season Manchester City's transfer model for the first season, because they also kind of had a similar approach, because they kind of went for players who were not exactly superstar players. Yes, Robinho was almost like a superstar player at that point of time, but barring some few names, there were not too many faces that we can just recognize and then say that, hey, this guy is one of the top 3 or top 4 players in the world. I don't think so that happened with them as well. So I feel that's where they will that's the whole bracket that they will target as well, because even if we talk about all of the clubs around the world, there's a lot of surplus right now. There's a lot of surplus in each club currently. So I feel they will target that particular surplus, and then they will pick out certain players who will actually fit the system as well. So first, I think in my head, they should go for a manager before actually going for personnel. And when you're looking at managers, I think if Conte can come into the picture at Newcastle, nothing like it. Nothing like it. I think Antonio Conte can probably transform Newcastle into a different beast altogether.
So I think, I mean, I like that shout a lot, but don't you think it's pretty far-fetched to a certain extent? Because, the name Conte is being taken up with, Barcelona, PSG, and maybe United to a certain extent. So coming to Newcastle, obviously, it'll completely change them. And it'll be a similar scenario like we saw with maybe Liverpool and City to a certain extent, when you saw Jurgen Klopp and Pep coming and completely transforming the team. And, they also, like you mentioned earlier, they slowly climbed up the ladder. And, we can see where they are now. So, of course, I think the money is an aspect. Of course, there is some motivation behind the players, but now all they need to do is go for quality over quantity, and slowly, I think, yeah, they'll move up the ladder and maybe be title contenders in the future.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So final predictions: where will Newcastle finish this season?
Oh, yeah. That's a good shout. I think January, like everything will be crystal clear after
I think January is the main. January window will define the club.
Exactly. January window, everything that, like, this particular question, I think it would have been great if could have been asked at the end of the January transfer window, because all of the things that we're talking right now in terms of the transfers that they're going to make, in terms of all of the players that they're going to target, all of that will come into fruition only in the January transfer window. All of what we are talking about is just pure speculation. So if whatever we have talked about comes to fruition, I think Newcastle can compete for the European places. Okay, can compete for the European places. I'm not saying they will actually get into Europe, but can compete for the European places. First half of the table. That's my final prediction. I think they're going to finish in the top half of the table, 10th, 9th, somewhere like just in the top half of the table. So somewhere along those lines.
I mean, I like that shout. I like it. I like that shout. Because right now they're coming 19th in the Premier League table, and going from 19th to 9th or 10th.
That's massive. That's massive. And I think that would also happen if they but they'll not get rid of Steve Bruce so soon. That it's a massive shout if they get rid of Steve Bruce after January. So if they get rid of Steve Bruce after January, if they get a caretaker manager somewhere along the lines of, let's say, how we got Bruce Hiddink in Chelsea, if they get somebody like that for the rest of the season and they manage to get into the top of the table, because I really feel that this investment has been made in a view that we need to get into the top half of the table. We at least that's the basic requirement for this season. Top half of the table is an absolute necessity. I don't think so. Such a huge investment, and at the end the position that you are in is probably what, 13th, 14th. Man, that just doesn't sound right. So it's exactly just to make a solid impression I think first half of the table is a very, very good shout, to be honest.
Only time will tell. So moving on to the next segment, player of the month. So pretty controversial player of the month, I would say. I'm a Liverpool fan, so I was completely agitated by this.
Yeah.
And Krishna on the other hand kind of agreed with me, so I was pretty happy about that. So I mean, I'll first go with the nominees. So for this player of the month of September, we had Cancelo, Ronaldo, Rudiger, Saint Maximin, Salah, and Sar. So a couple of days ago, we got the news that Cristiano Ronaldo was named the Player of the Month for September. So before we dive into this Ronaldo Salah conversation, could you just give us your first impression on what you thought when this decision came?
Man, dude, I've always maintained that CR7 is a brand more than a player. Like he's an absolute brand. And when you're doing all of this, you're actually sufficing followers of a brand as well. So when you're actually satisfying followers of a brand, that means a lot more than satisfying followers of a player. So I think that is something that has happened with this award. That Cristiano Ronaldo, although good start at Manchester United, 5 goals in 5 games, something along those lines, if I'm not wrong. But really feel, as I said, Salah deserves it heads and shoulders above the rest for me, because he's been an absolute beast this season. I read a joke, and I don't think it's a joke as well, but it's absolutely factual. I think all of you guys play FBL, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
Yep. So I read this thing that just make your FPL team. Don't think about whom you're going to captain the next week or the next week. Just stick your captain badge on Salah for every week in a season. That's the safest thing to do. He has completely changed that game this season as well. I mean, he has become an upper body beast, because when it comes to actually shrugging off people and going through those tight spaces, going through those tight channels, he's an amazing player to watch. And he's become slightly unselfish as well this season, which is pretty good to see. So I think as a complete all-round player, he's evolved into into one of the best players currently in the European landscape. And I think he definitely deserved this award. I don't know what those Premier League guys were smoking. So yeah, I would love to have what those guys were smoking as well. That's great.
So I mean, I am a Liverpool fan, and I was completely shell shocked because I thought that Salah would win in and out, and there wouldn't be any argument about this. But we all know about this award, and the fans vote for it, and it's a popularity based thing, right? Cristiano Ronaldo being the more popular guy, being the one who stands out, I would say, compared to Salah, maybe to a certain extent. Obviously, the votes would go to him. It's like a school election, right? The popular guy would win over the guy who deserves it, right?
Right.
So coming to Mohamed Salah versus Cristiano Ronaldo, I think Salah has been the most clinical finisher in probably the world right now. If you saw that goal that he did against City, I can't see Cristiano Ronaldo scoring that goal. I can't see him dropping Laporte like that and going past Cancelo and giving the ball to Mane. So Cristiano Ronaldo, yes, he has been good, but if you look at September for him, he scored 1 tap in and the other 2 keeper errors. So nothing really stood out per se for me. But coming to Mohamed Salah, 9 goals in 9 games for Liverpool this season in the Champions League and in the Premier League. So he's been an absolute goal machine. And like you said, he's completely evolved into that clinical finisher, that player that Liverpool need, right? Because Salah is that one hope that us all Liverpool fans have if we're ever in a place of, I would say, when we're struggling a lot. Because even against City, if you saw the first half, we were nowhere. We were invisible. So I think Salah carried the team, and he's been doing that. He did that last season, and I'm sure he's going to do it this season. So moving on to Ronaldo winning, Krishna, could you just take the floor and just let us know as a United fan how it's been for you?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Shit, you're a United fan. Oh my God. Okay. I said a lot. yeah.
I'm probably the first United fan to actually agree with you both on this. I'll tell you why. Because first of all, when the United Cup Player of the Month came, our nominees were of course Cristiano, David De Gea, Greenwood, and so on. So उसमें मुझे लगा कि in terms of performances, if you look at performances, I think David De Gea should have won it. But again, same thing happened. That Ronaldo being the more popular, brandable guy, people would have voted for him. The United fans would have voted for him. But I think at least most United fans would say that after looking at David De Gea, the way he's come back, he's basically rescued us. I mean, in all these Premier League.
Exactly.
तब से मुझे थोड़ा लगा कि it started that kind. I'm not saying hate for Ronaldo, but I'd say more like the hate for the fans and the hate for that brand. So, and I think that's transferred on very well to the Premier League Player of the Month, in which I mean, Ronaldo's been good, as you guys have like really talked in depth about both of their performances, but I really liked Anvay's comparison of how it compares to a student like just a student council election hota hai. Of course, the most popular player, the most branded player will win. It's
correct.
Even if you look at it on just stats, if you just award it on stats, it's easy to just like put an Excel sheet laga do, jiske bhi highest goals hai, highest assists hai, and award it like that. I mean, I think there should be some change in how these player of the months are awarded. Definitely some huge change, because it does cause a lot of controversy. So what do you think could be the next step in maybe ratifying this, say a different way of electing the winner?
No, that's what jo maine abhi bola ki in terms of people should watch games, people should judge performances, people should judge this award on the basis of performances rather than on the basis of just numbers. Abhi people would say ki हाँ साला के बहुत सारे numbers है, but still how can you say that stats के हिसाब से नहीं जा सकते?
What's up, guys? Stay tuned. We just dropped this episode, and this is part 2 with Mr. Adidev Gurogyan. We're about to drop part 3, which will be about Pochettino, Koeman, and Ole. So make sure to check that out.